Hey everyone, welcome to the Relationship Smith Show. We are live.
Which you'd think is weird for a stand-up, but like I'm okay with them.
No, not at all. We've interviewed a couple of comedians on this show, and these two below me on the screen here have both done stand-up, and they're not shy at all. But we've met enough. I think some of the best, or at least the most well-known comedians, are actually not who you think they are in real life. They're shy. Yeah, you know more than I do. I don't know why I'm saying it, but yeah, it's a different life off stage.
Yeah. It's strange. You're right. I think like there's a definite, one of the things I love about stand-up is like the camaraderie. It's like a big dysfunctional family, and like it's the one place you can go to work, and if you're having a bad day, someone can ask how you are, and you're like, oh, I'm fucking depressed, and like everyone's like, yeah, me too. Like there's no judgment, it's very open with each other, and people support each other on the whole. I mean, there's a few bad eggs, but you probably already know who they are. So
we have ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I love that about stand-up, because like comics tend to be quite like vulnerable or like open about talking about stuff, and also making fun of each other to deal with those things. It's very cathartic, at least for me.
I like it. I've seen a trend recently with comedians, I think, having their friends write like insults about them. You look like, and then like what, like, so, and then they throw it on each other's acts. And I'm enjoying the fact that they actually have this level of communication where somebody they know and trust can write an insult about them, and it's part of the act. You know, like,
yeah. I mean, the way I grew up in a family of like comedians, comedy writers, lawyers, and I mean, that encompasses both my mom and dad's side of the family pretty much. And like, you can imagine there was a lot of arguing and a lot of bullshit, because lawyers and comedians, like they're professional grade bullshitters basically. But the way that we show affection is like making fun of each other. So that's like, yeah. I'm not saying that's necessarily super healthy, but it definitely,
I think it is.
Like if I'm too nice, be worried. You know, I probably don't like you.
Please insult me all you want.
When I get to people, there's got to be that comfort level, certainly.
I get it, and that's what I grew up in a family. I'm the youngest of 5. We never had a normal dinner conversation. We insulted each other constantly. I identified with the fiction of Married with Children more than any other family sitcom ever on TV, because yes, we just constantly dug, and we, you know, at the end of the day, we still loved each other, you know, sort of. It was, and that's the way I prefer my relationships now. That's how we interact here. And I think when somebody tells you something in a way that sounds caring, you really take that in. But if it's just a minor correction, like you say too much when you interview people, they will say it in a mean way that I listen to. Like it's not out meant to be mean. It's like, yeah, can you say a couple more times? I was just wondering. That sounds really good when you do it. And you're like, oh, I do that too much. You're right. So
yeah. No, exactly. It's affectionate teasing. I think my dad talked about it in the show. Like there's mean teasing, which I'm not gonna lie. In our family, that line got crossed, you know, because we're all one-upping each other, and then it gets to a point, and I'm the baby, so like of course I'm the easiest target, and I'm like, but wait a minute, I'm 10 and you guys are all way older than me. That's not fair.
You wrote a skit, I believe, that you filmed. It's on your channel, about like insults that keep getting bigger. Like it starts off with, and I did this and I this, and then you just start like, you know what?
Yeah.
And that's where I discovered. Have you taken acting classes? Because you killed it. You have micro face movements.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from my dad, honestly. And I think we've been talking about doing like a subscription service for him teaching comedy and stuff, because there's so many things that when you've done it as long as he has, like he takes for granted that everyone knows, but like that I've studied in multiple acting studios. Most of them are like places of worship or something, and they're kind of weird, but there's a great one in LA called Actors Comedy Studio, which actually I think he now mostly teaches over Zoom, so people take classes from all over. This guy Gunnar, he's really great. And but my dad has said things to me that like nobody else in any acting class has ever told me, and I'm grateful for that. Like, just off the top of my head, like, repressed emotion is much more funny than overt emotion. Like, if someone's like really angry but they're trying to hold it together versus just like screaming at somebody, you get what I'm saying, I think.
I totally get it. Yeah, and you're right. He's right, I should say.
So I think it'll be fun to do that sort of series. It'll be, I think, on a subscription platform or something, and have him talk about some of those things that he doesn't realize that not everyone knows. Because I've taught a few classes acting, both acting, stand-up, writing, comedy. It's not the easiest. Comedy is harder to teach because, you know, you can teach people the basics, but I think you're either born with timing or you're not. Like, it's very hard to teach that. And joke writing is a little bit difficult. Stand-up, not the easiest either, but
no. What was your first time like doing stand-up on stage? Like, how did you end up there, and how did you do, and how did people react?
Well, I was in a sketch group, or no, Sarah Tiana, who's really funny, great comedian. I was in a sketch group with her. You're nodding like you might know her.
Yeah, she's very funny. Yeah.
Not personally.
Yeah,
no. Just I know she's very funny.
A dear friend of mine, and we were in a sketch group together, and we did some really fun stuff. And she was doing stand-up, and I went to see her, and I think it was the first time that it clicked in my head, like, oh, I could do that, because I hadn't really seen many female comedians, and if I had, they were sort of like, I don't want to say cartoon characters, but back then the only ones I knew of were like Ellen or Margaret Cho or Roseanne Barr. But Sarah was like this young girl that I was friends with, and it was like, oh. And then I was terrified, but I was like, I want to try and do that. Especially, I thought it would help me sort of separate myself from my dad in some ways. And then it took me about another 2 years to get the courage to actually do it. And the first time, what's that expression, like shaking in your boots or weak at the knees? Like, the first time I went on stage, I know where that expression came. Like, I thought my legs were going to buckle underneath me. I was so scared. I had such bad stage fright. And like I said, I was very shy. I got bullied growing up. But I fell in love with it. Like, you know, you get that first laugh and it's like, sorry, I'm watching my dog destroy my dad's stuffed animal. Yes, he sleeps with a stuffed animal.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's like twice his size, so it's kind of funny. He's actually just licking him currently, but anyway.
Gotta warm him up. You gotta warm him up.
Yeah, foreplay.
Yeah.
But wait, I just lost my train of thought. What were you telling?
You were talking about your first time on your first
Oh,
laugh.
yeah. No, I was so scared. And but yeah, I fell in love with it. And I used to, like, emotionally, it was like this battle with myself to get on stage for like probably the first year. But it definitely helped me come out of my shell some, and I started pretty late. I think I was 29 or so, which, you know, I guess it's not late for stand-up. Everyone starts at a different age.
Yeah.
But some people start super young, like Taylor Tomlinson.
Chris Rock.
Incredible. Yeah. She started at 15, I think. And it shows. I mean, she's like, and I think she's one of the best. And I'm so excited to hear she got that talk show. James Corden's on. She's going to be great at that. She's so brilliant. She's such a good writer and performer. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Really happy. It's nice to see like female comics represented like that too, because it's very smart comedy. It's not just like my vagina and stuff like that. So I appreciate
Men don't understand.
Yeah.
We know.
She does very original stuff, so I like it.
Yeah. I just last week we interviewed a magician duo, and she is they're the first magician couple duo out there, but we got to talking about how even in magic, women are now starting to come into their own, and people are normalizing it, and it's not such a weird thing anymore. Like everybody's sharing the stage a little more equally now, and I love that in comedy. I love that. Well, really everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just we've heard all the jokes, not all the jokes men can tell, obviously, but like it's nice to get that fresh take on. The reason I love this show is I get to talk to people who live a life I've never lived, and that's what I like about comedy and entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you go into comedy if you've had like a normal life at all. I know one comic who says he had a very normal childhood, and that's like it. And he's very funny, but like almost everyone came from chaos, and they say, I like to say, what doesn't kill you makes you funnier, rather than stronger, because there's some truth to it, that after some time has passed, at least. But and like I don't do a lot of my normal material when I'm performing for my dad's audience, because like I have a whole bit about my boyfriend who's been in and out of prison. He only did one stint in prison, but like he's actually a great human being. He's just a terrible drinker, and he was sober when we were together and relapsed, and but it's very cathartic to be able to talk about that on stage in a funny way. Like all the perks of having a jail boyfriend. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
That's how you deal with it,